Halo Infinite is one of the strangest cases in modern gaming. My sad inner child and my furious inner teenager both immensely enjoyed this game, however my skeptical current old man self found it pretty underwhelming. It's an open world Halo game, that in itself should equal excellence beyond measure, but I feel personally what we got does not live up to that name. Despite introducing some very fun and evolutionary mechanics, maintaining a lot of the Halo atmosphere and fleshing out the map with tons of activities, this world still comes across as very hollow. I know somebody out there is making a joke about the world being ring-shaped. That's not what I mean and you know it. That's not funny. Nothing's funny. The time for joking is over. This is Halo. This is important. I will never say anything that is not completely serious ever again in my entire life. This franchise as a whole represents one of the great pillars of video game sci-fi, standing proudly alongside Mass Effect and brash newcomer Horizon Zero Dawn. The Halo series has been known for quite a while as having an almost unreasonable amount of lore and backstory to read up on for the most fanatical of alien-murdering Xbox owners, and also Brian David Gilbert that one time. You would assume with so much lore out there laying a solid foundation, anything thrown on top would form into a perfectly balanced Jenga tower that you only actually go to one time for a fetch quest. However, 343 pulls from the bottom of the stack with no regard for the Lego people living on the floors above. This Jenga tower analogy is the dumbest thing I've ever put in a video. Being up until now what's medically referred to as a Bungie boy, I have never played Halo 4 or 5. So, despite having viewed many recap videos, I won't continue to criticize how disjointed and out of the blue everything feels. I don't deserve to without having played the game. I won't say that I think they just bookended a lot of terrible Destiny 2 level cutscenes that have weird dialogue with member berries and Marty O'Donnell tracks. I won't say how often I looked at my screen and went, who the hell is this? Or thought, what am I supposed to be feeling right now? Although all of that is true. Whoops. I'm not hating on anything. I wanted desperately to fall in love with this game, even more than usual. I tried as hard as I could. I really did watch a dozen recap videos, and it seems even a few who have played a 343 game before walked away scratching their head. But all that aside, I pretend it wasn't confusing at all. I'm still unhappy with the time skip between 5 and Infinite. A lot happened, and most of the game is piecing together exactly what we, the player, and Master, the Chief, missed. On paper, it is not a terrible story. It's about loss, forgiveness, survival, conquest, trust. The way it's implemented into the game is just mostly awful. And I've seen comments saying it's perfect, made people cry, they loved it, flawless, 10 out of 10. How? How does no part of you compare this to Halo 2? You should absolutely give it the benefit of the doubt. Look past the graphics and other transitional issues that arose from making Halo open world, but how can you not say this was just a bunch of fetch quests? Really fun fetch quests, mind you, on a Halo ring as the Master Chief, but at the end of the day, 343 is just throwing a stick and we're off running. If you can get past all that, the open world itself has a lot to offer. One of my favorite additions are forward operating bases. It was highly entertaining to far cry along from outpost to outpost, unlocking new fast travel points in the process. Open world games can be so satisfying in that way. It's like mowing a lawn or coloring.
You did it!
While no formal experience system exists, you do get Valor from completing activities, which unlocks weapons and vehicles at those bases. We also have 15 high-priority targets to find and kill, each yielding their own specialized version of each weapon. That expanded repertoire makes the open world feel a lot less empty and worth exploring so you can test out new ways to brutalize your foes and so you can catch them all. I mean, acquire all the guns and stuff. Which I did. Couldn't find it in me to get every audio recording or propaganda tower, but I did everything else. There were too many. I got really bored, please don't judge me. I got as many as I could. I love good audio logs in games. The world we explore is far from the most detailed or interesting in the series, but at times still feels beautiful. I'll never not love looking up and tracing the terraformed ring I'm standing on into the sky above. Interiors, in particular doors, still look very Halo-like, and as I said earlier, I can forgive the graphics for not looking as good as they have in the past. So, I guess I have to stop talking about it. I think a big part of why I got so bored after I'd explored all the interesting wreckage and took a bunch of long, slow video clips flying around in a Banshee is because everything has a very similar look to it. I never want to see one of these hexagons again as long as I live. Gameplay is almost good enough to make up for it. If I'm focusing on what I'm doing, maybe I won't look around so much, but I tell you what, here I am, slow panning the camera again. The core gameplay aspect feels like what I remember and passionately love from the Halo of old, except now I'm pressing the left trigger to aim, and that was the true challenge for me. That's not to say I thought this game was a walk in the park. Enemy AI is phenomenal. These dudes destroyed me repeatedly, and it was atrocious. In a good way. Speaking of good, new mechanics like the grappling hook feel well implemented and like a true evolution of the Halo experience. Being able to use it to cheat my way up a wall or take over an enemy vehicle, the way it sticks to any nearby surface, it's an absolute godsend. I just got done playing Dying Light recently, and between the two, I'm in the mood to grappling hook about pretending I'm Batman forever. Sometimes, like when you have a sword, it completely breaks the game and turns you into an Attack on Titan character. Some people have even indicated it's so much fun that it solved world hunger. Impressive. It's not just the grappling hook, all of combat feels more expansive than in the past, and like I have even more agency in battle than ever before. Gameplay-wise, I think my only real complaint stems from a problem much better open world games also suffer from. They're trying to simultaneously give you a massive open world, as much freedom to explore and conquer it as possible, all these side activities, and an extremely linear story set mostly indoors.
That's almost funny.
I admire the effort, and I like a lot of the ideas that went into this, but in terms of execution, the entire narrative leaves a lot to be desired. I know some people won't care, it's just a video game, right? You're supposed to have fun. I mean, yeah, but it's also vitally important art that shaped my generation socially and, I would argue, intellectually. I don't really care about multiplayer, and I didn't when I first played Halo as a kid either. To me, these were always first-person shooters, but also story games. The narrative was rich with well-seated twists and turns, interesting characters, and compelling science fiction. It felt like a carefully constructed, epic, cinematic story that lived up to the high bar set by its exceptional gameplay. Now it feels like they had to put out an open-world Halo, and it needed a story, and it needed a little blue lady, and it needed the Master Chief. So here he is.
I need a weapon.
Remember when he said that? Huh? Remember when he said this?
We finished the fight.
If we reference a story a lot, does that count as a story? You could argue this is all just setup, and they had to go through all this to get to a big payoff later on, but if that payoff never comes, does this story suck? And if that game rules, does this become good? As a whole, I enjoyed the content known as Halo Infinite Campaign. I love open worlds, I love Halo, and this was a very meh combination of those things. I like a lot of the idea of this game, even the ideas of the story. Fixing 5, giving us closure, the non-chronological divulging of information, but you can't have an entire game happen off-screen.
That's almost funny.
I hope I'm completely wrong. I hope you disagree with me and can explain in the comments what you enjoyed. Maybe I can look at it more from your lens. Maybe you have information that would change my mind on the story. I'd be grateful forever if you could help me love this game as much as so many of you seem to. For me, this was a fun time for around 20 hours, which is a lot, but as soon as I'd done everything I wanted to, I had zero desire to play again. At least not right now. It did make me want to play the sequel to this when it releases, eventually, 10 years from now. I have some hope for the future. It seems like 343 does listen to some of the criticism. I really hope whatever they do next is more finely curated and much more easily digestible, and also that the Arbiter can be in it. Halo stands as one of the best first-person shooters of all time, and with any luck, the next one will live up to its name. You got your chocolate in my peanut butter, you got your open world in my Halo. Reese's Infinite was good, but very disappointing.